Well, it's hello there, and it's quarter 2 of the Motability prices that have just come out today, and I'm going to go over the best EV deals again. And let's just bring the page up here, make sure my screen recorder's going. And I was actually quite excited when I saw these this morning. They come out like 9 o'clock in the morning, because the MG ZS EV is actually on there for nothing. But then I looked at the details, and it's actually the 51 kilowatt hour one, which does less than 200 miles. I think it's like 187 miles. And this is the basic trim, so you don't have the leather seats, Fox leather seats. You don't have the sunroof. I think you got one or two features missing. I'm sure it's still got the adaptive cruise control and that, but you can now get that for zero. So what I'm going to do is, because last time I did a little list of what were the best ones in my opinion, is I'm going to put this one down as second in the list, the MG ZS EV, because it's a 51 kilowatt hour one, and it's the basic SE trim, whatever, basic SE trim. And it was zero upfront cost. There you go. And I'm still going to put the what is on here as the Mokka E as the number one choice. I think basically because it's just a slightly more upmarket feel of a car, I would say, possibly. I mean, that's down to opinion. I mean, I've not compared these two, but the MG ZS EV might have like more room in it, but the Mokka E might have a more sophisticated driving setup, so you might feel as though you're driving something a bit more up to date. The MG ZS EV, not the most top line driving, how do they call it, ergonomics and all that. So I'll put the Mokka E as number one first, still, because it's got no upfront costs. Zero upfront cost. Now going down the list a bit more here, and just to remind, these are from the 1st of April up until, when does it say, the 30th of June 2022, these prices. And what else have we got? Well, we do have, for no upfront cost, it's still a 24 kilowatt hour Fiat, so I wouldn't bother with that one. You do have the Ioniq 39 kilowatt hour battery one. To tell the truth, when I'm looking at that, I would probably go for the MG ZS EV because it's got a bigger boot. So, but I would put the Ioniq as number 3, I think. So let's get this out. That's recording, isn't it? Still recording. So we'll put the Kona 39 kilowatt hour, because all the top 3 in this list get around about 180 to 200 miles of charge. But I think I'm going to move these down a bit. I think I'm going to make the Mokka E number 2, because there's one where you pay something up front, which I would probably still go for. And if you watched the last video, you probably know which one it is. Yeah, so look, yeah, Smart EV, Smart 4.4. No, you don't want to bother with them. They get to about 80 miles, and then you plug them in again. Right, we have a bunch of Corsas E's. So if I look at this list again, I might stick them in after the MG ZS EV, because they've got more range. They've got like a 249 miles. And what I'm not putting on here at the moment is miles per charge, so I'll just tab this along with miles per charge, around 200 for these. And next one, charge, around 200, the corner, miles per charge. They're a little bit less than 200 actually, these. So one's about 180, the other one's 197, thereabouts. Right, so in here we're going to go for the Corsa E, because I do believe that's no, you can get one for no foot charge. Foot charge. And it gets, I think it's 239 miles. Yeah, 239 miles per charge, so a little bit over 200. And there are various versions of that. Here's what I was looking at. You've got a Fiat 500 here for £95 upfront charge. That one's got a bit more range, and I think this is one that can do 200 miles, but I wouldn't go for it. Too small, in my opinion, for a Motability user. Now you got more expensive Mocha E's there now. That's probably got adaptive cruise control or something in it. You got a upper trim version of the 39 kilowatt hour Corner E. Again, wouldn't bother. May as well just go for the cheaper one, or the Mocha E. You got Nissan Leaf, again outdated now, needs a good update that one. And now we have the ZS Trophy Edition of the MG ZS. And again it's still a 51 kilowatt hour battery, so what you're paying for in this one, $599, is for a sunroof and some other trim. So do you want that? I would rather spend that money on getting something with more range. And moving on to the next page, more Fiats, more, and there we have it again. The Corner Electric 64 kilowatt hour with a 300 mile range, or up to 300 miles it does per charge. Now I know it's got a smaller battery than some, but it's just it's the ergonomics of this car, the aerodynamics and everything that makes it so efficient. So that is why, even though that's gone up 100 this month, this quarter to $799, I would still put that on. Get this out of the way. Top of that list. No, I'll make it second after the Mocha. Still above the MG ZS in my opinion. It's worth paying the extra. So, Corner, 64 kilowatt hour, power version, $799 up front, miles per charge up to 300. Or thereabouts. Probably more realistically 250ish in real life terms. It's like these ones with have up to 200 miles per charge. In real life terms, probably more like 150ish, 160ish. Right. What else do we have? So further down the list again, we've got people who, you've got cars that you're going to be paying $1,000 up front for. You've got the upmarket trim of the 64 kilowatt hour Corner, 1200 the one, 1300 the one for that up front, just because it's got leather trim and a sunroof. Oh, and a heads up display. And again we're going on to more expensive ones. Did this the last quarter. I did a separate little list here for like the bigger vehicles, which so you can fit full wheelchairs and things in, up ramps and that. They're still here, but I'm not going to do a list this month. If you do need that type of vehicle, you've got a Berlingo here for $1,495 upfront cost. And my voice doesn't go. That's probably the one I would go for. I think there's a more market version of it as well for a bit more. But all these other ones, you got to really want these cars to go for them. Like the Mini. Why would you get a Mini electric? It doesn't got the range, it's got no room. And then you got the Vavario E-Life. That's if you've got a really big wheelchair setup or like, need lots and lots of room for your mobility concerns. That one's $2,000 up front. Oh, the gear soles on there now. What I have noticed is the BMWs aren't on the list anymore. So I guess that they're getting like shoveled off as, you know, too much of a luxury brand. And look at this one, the Honda. It's got a 36 kilowatt hour battery. Doesn't even do 150 miles of charge, I don't think, and they want £6,000 up front for it. You got to desperately want that car to pay that for it on this scheme. Well, I think that's it for this quarter, short and sweet. Top choice still the Mopar E, but I moved the MG ZS EV down to third. I don't think you can even get the 71 kilowatt hour version on the scheme anymore, so that's why it's down to third. I would have liked to have seen that one get closer to the corner 64 kilowatt hour in price, maybe just even undercut it. If you could have gotten the MG ZS EV 72 kilowatt hour battery one, which does nearly 280 miles of charge, for less than the corner 64 kilowatt hour, I would have put that in number 2 instead of the corner in number 2. But for me at the moment, depending on finances, it would be the Mopar E if I couldn't afford the upfront cost, and the corner if I could, because it's worth the cost, the upfront cost for the extra range. And I think that's about it for the EVs you can get on the scheme for this quarter. People on the last video I did for last quarter just for EVs said I should do others for like different vehicles in the lineup. So I'll get on to doing them maybe later this weekend. This is the one I want to concentrate on because it's more relevant to myself. Apart from that, I'd just like to say thanks again for watching, and remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.